the other thing that struck me from the book is that, and from Diana as well as other figures, is that women women are a center of your story. They're the power brokers in a way. They're the people creating this institution, destroying it, attempting it. And there is something odd about the British monarchy in is it's always had this strong female content. I mean, whether it's Elizabeth I, Victoria, Elizabeth II, these are long, long reigning, iconic, nation identity forming monarchs, and they're all women.
Yeah, well, I mean, women turn out to be very, very good at this job, right? I mean, the three you mentioned are the sort of most famous defining monarchs, that really in the entire sort of British history. I mean, Henry VIII is famous for quite different reasons. They are very good at it. I think it's partly because, Bill Clinton once famously said, and he should know because he was the opposite. He said, women have the responsibility gene. And I do think that that's sort of
Hmm.
true, is that the women, they're not as distracted by the mistresses and the money and all the rest of it most of the time. They somehow just bite it off and regard it as something they have to sort of march on and do. And, the three of them have. And Elizabeth II, I mean, 70 years. I mean, she's been on the money for 70 years, if you can imagine, and how this is incredible. And I think that it will be a giant void when she goes, because there is a kind of feeling of, how do people think about being British anymore, when she's gone? Because she has come to epitomize the nation's identity in such a profound way. And it's going to be quite hard for Charles, I think, to pick that up.
Yes. I, obviously, having watched The Crown, as we all have, I assume, there's still a mystery at the heart of Elizabeth Windsor, as it were. I mean, I think you saw the actresses that played her exactly portray that responsibility gene, as it were, but I could never fully figure out what's going on underneath.
But we don't
And
know. That's her
yeah,
mystique. I mean, we still to this day have no idea what she thinks about anything. I mean, she has managed to maintain the discipline of never letting us know. I mean, to this day, we have no idea what she thought about Brexit, for instance, for or against. No idea. And
isn't that incredibly liberating in a way?
yeah,
Because everybody down to the local shop market owner has a blog now and a tweet about everything. We know everybody's thoughts about every single thing. We're exhausted by the details of everyone's private life. We just at some level, I'm just like, oh please. But this woman, I mean, the sheer discipline. In some ways, that kind of. I remember when Trump was first elected and The Crown was on, and I remember watching The Crown, the early parts of it, and observing that this was the antithesis. This was all about not show. It was all about restraint. It was all about the institution. It was all about the Constitution. And not just we don't know her opinion about Brexit. She's never really crossed any constitutional lines that could have.
mm-mm.
And there have been plenty of moments when it could have happened. And I think the English understand this. I think they do, and I think there's a huge respect for that.
Yeah, it's the
The stiff upper
self-discipline,
lip.
or it's that self-discipline. And, we already know a huge amount about Charles by contrast. I mean, we know pretty much everything about Charles. There is absolutely zero mystique.